Welcome back to the Proximity is Power podcast. We got Michael Lancot in the house. Mike, thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks for inviting me. Glad to be here.
Do you prefer Michael or Mike?
Either one. Okay. My dad's Mike.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Michael. We'll go with that. A little bio on Michael. He is from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Heck yeah.
Go Lobos.
The armpit of America.
A little bit. I'm not going to lie.
No.
You want to know why we left? We were like, hey, we should have kids at some point, and then there was we live in a nice gated community. Right outside our gated community, there was SWAT on the side of the road shooting at a house. Just SWAT snipers on the road. And we're like, oh, that's sketchy. Let's go the other way. And then we're driving to my wife's friend's house, and there's more SWAT on the side of the road shooting at a house on the other side. And then one of my sisters lives in a nice part of Albuquerque, really nice part of Albuquerque. Some dude just got super high, kicked in their door, was shooting around. He sold a car. It's crazy, just
wow.
Random. It wasn't random. They were the only ones without a storm door in that neighborhood, and that's
why they kicked in their door.
Then on the other part of Albuquerque, one of my buddies had two guys just handgun dueling it out in front of it. And so this was in a week.
Just Wild West.
This was in a week, and I was like, all right, Audrey, we should go somewhere else.
And then you moved to Draper, Utah.
Yeah, well, we went to Ogden first.
Okay.
And everyone was like, Ogden's so sketchy. And we're like, no gunshots.
Yeah.
Not one so far.
Wow. That's wild, dude.
Yeah, it was a good time.
So from Albuquerque, lives in Draper right now, right?
Holiday.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, little bio on Mike. He was bankrupt at 23 years old and then became a millionaire 2 years later at 25. Yep. Super sick. We're going to dive into that. He is the founder of Young and Retired. He's also the founder of Fleet and Go, which is a Turo management company. He personally owns 25 cars that he puts on Turo. Not all of them. He probably
almost none now, actually.
Oh, really?
Maybe 10.
Wow.
5 to 10, yeah.
And you just have 15 cars cruising around.
Yeah, I mean, I've got my Lamborghini, I've got my wife's car, and then I have a car just for when I have reps fly and I just have a car. Makes it super convenient. But then I also have a lot of cars that I let the guys use. I've got a couple Supras, I've got an LC, I've got a bunch of Subarus.
Little perks for your guys.
Yeah, well, so I mean, some of them pay me, the super guys, they pay me.
That's awesome. Awesome. And then he has 30 units in real estate, over $5 million. Freaking sick. He's married with one baby girl, and she's not even a year old, right?
She turned a year last week.
Wow, dude. Time flies.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It was wild. It was funny, though, because she was born after Thanksgiving, but since Thanksgiving changes dates.
Oh.
This year, her 1 year birthday was before Thanksgiving.
Interesting.
So she turned a year before she ever had a Thanksgiving.
Well, that's nice that, it's not on Thanksgiving every year.
Yeah.
He also, this last year, he made over $3 million cash, mostly from door to door. His Y&R group did over $22 million in revenue. And then he had a bunch of other guys doing fiber, solar, and insurance. And those guys did over $28 million in revenue. So freaking impressed.
Thanks
impressed and impressive.
I appreciate it.
And
it's a grind.
And how old are you?
I'm 28.
28.
Well,
wow.
I'll be 28 this year. I'm 27 right now.
That's sick.
I'll be 28.
Dude, I'm 26, so we're
yeah, you got time to catch up.
Dude, so let's go way back. So you grew up in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Yep.
How was that?
Dude, it was good. It's funny because it was very not Utah.
Yeah.
Right? I grew up riding the bus to soccer practice, and there'd be a crackhead, right next to you. And you're just chilling, and lived there since I was 12. And so Albuquerque is very different than most places. Very big on culture, very big on stuff like that. But yeah, we had a lot of fun with my friends. We did whatever I wanted because I had 8 siblings. So my parents, they were pretty busy. And so, sometimes we'd get lost. And
eight siblings is insane.
Yeah.
Where do you fall in that?
I'm 6.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm number 6. And so, yeah, they were super busy with older and younger siblings. So I got away with a lot. And so we got to explore Albuquerque, my buddies and I. And we had a good time. We were always out doing something.
Awesome. Yeah. What was childhood like? We were mostly sports, friends?
Just it was interesting because I was homeschooled. And when most people think of homeschool, they think of like, oh, you don't do anything. But my parents were really big in MLM. And so we traveled everywhere all the time. So they homeschooled because they would always go speaking places.
What were they doing?
They were doing Amway.
Okay.
And they still do that, right? So we would go and they'd be like, oh, we have to speak in New York. So let's load everyone up in the 15-passenger van. And we're going to go look at all the sites in New York and area and do a road trip. So it was interesting because my growing up was not like, I was not home. It was very much traveling around and, we always drove everywhere, but it was a lot of fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dude, that's wild. MLM. So yeah, you grew up with parents trying to sell people and recruit people.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah. Well, it was interesting, right? Too, because we'd go to these conferences that they'd have and you'd see people with Rolls Royces. They had jets. There were people who had, like these, insane campers. So I grew up seeing money. It's like we didn't have a ton, right? But they did well. But I grew up and I was like, man, people have money and I want it. So it was good, I think, just because there was that belief there. I think a lot of people just grow up and if they never see it, they never think it's achievable.
Mm. So you had people around you that inspired you to like, there's another life out there.
100%.
And I want to go get it.
Yeah, because it's like my parents' mentors, right? They'd let us drive in the Rolls Royce with them, or we'd go on the camper van, or we'd go to their house that was insane, like $12-14 million homes, right? And it was ridiculous. And so there was that inspiration of other people can do it, so I should be able to do it.
Wow. So at a really young age, you got inspired to make a lot of money, and you knew it was possible because other people had done it, and you probably just became really ambitious.
Yep. Overnight,
basically.
Yeah, well, I'm going to say overnight. It was definitely a pretty long process, right? So I started school, and then I did that with them. I did Amway with them for a few years while I was in school.
Like in college?
Yeah, really until I got into door-to-door.
Okay.
Once I got into door-to-door, it was like, that's what I was going to do. I actually almost dropped out my senior year, but my junior year was awful. It was like the hardest semester ever.
Where'd you go to college?
I went to University of New Mexico.
And what did you want to do?
So my goal was I was going to do offshore oil drilling because I did chemical and nuclear engineering for school.
Wow.
And so that was what I was going to go do because they get paid well. And I had my whole plan. And then it was funny because then I went on my mission, went to DC, and some guys that I used to tutor in OChem were in the singles ward that I was at. And I was like, what the heck? What are you guys doing here? And they were like, oh, we're selling pest control. And I was like, dude, that's really freaking dumb. Like, I was tutoring you in OChem. What happened? You fail? And then they were like, yeah, well, I made 13 grand this month. And I was like, you're in mission mode. I was like, whatever. And it wasn't until the next year. Then I did summer classes when I got back. Then I was looking at internships and I was supposed to work at a nuclear power plant that year in Arizona. And so I was like, all right, how much am I going to make? And I was ready, And they were like, we're the best paying internship you're going to get. And I was like, all right, after expenses, after everything, what am I looking at? And I was like, dollar signs in my face because I was thinking chemical nuclear engineer, they got to kill it. They were like, yeah, after your expenses and living, you're going to clear like 10 grand. And it was like, dude, instant. I was like
in the whole summer.
Yeah. And I was like, but my friend made 13 in a month selling pest control. What the heck? So, dude, I was like the lay downest of lay down recruits. I literally called and I was like, hey, you made 13 grand in a month? I was like, what, are you guys hiring? And I went out that summer, did 100K, made like 27 grand. So I was like,
wow.
I was super happy.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So you had grown up, you wanted to make a lot of money. And your idea was to be an offshore nuclear engineer. Yeah,
the idea was I'm going to go out, I'm going to work somewhere, I'm going to stockpile money, and I'm going to start a business. The goal was always to start a business, do inventions, take my inventions, to
the market.
Yeah, no one became wealthy working for someone else.
Yeah. So nuclear engineering was like a short-term thing to make some money and then use that money to start a business eventually. Exactly. Cool. Yeah. And then you want to make a product and sell it.
Exactly.
But then you're looking at internships and, the pay wasn't great. And you remembered your friend from the mission that was selling pest control in your mission and made 13 grand. And you're like, you sent it and made 27K your first summer.
Yeah. Dude, what's funny is my dad, who was always pushing me to do like business or sales or something. And I was like, nah, I'm too smart. I'm going to go do engineering, And then, but he always was pushing me. He was like, you need to go you need to go do businesses. You should go do business in school. And I was like, nah, I'm not going to do that, Dad. I'm going to do engineering, because my grandpa's an engineer. A couple of my brothers are engineers. There's a lot of engineers in my family. And so it was just funny because most people would push their kids the other way. They'd be like, don't do business, do engineering.
Right. That's a safer route. Yeah.
And then, he was pushing the opposite. I did but I did engineering, and then I ended up doing business anyways, which was funny.
Dude. So, okay. Where did you sell that first summer?
I sold in DC.
Okay. In DC. And what company was that with?
Moxie.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
So how was that first week out on the doors?
It was funny. The first week, I thought it was super easy. Like I kind of like just stayed the same the whole summer. Mm-hmm. It was funny because a lot of people, they had a hard time, so it was right after my junior year of college. And that year I was taking quantum chemistry. I was taking OChem 2. I was taking like just a stupid amount of like transport, hard classes. Yeah. So I would study all day. I would literally, and then I had a morning job at 6 a.m. Uh-huh. And then I had class at 10 a.m. So I would sleep at the school a good chunk of the days because I'd just be studying till like
just
midnight.
Grinding like crazy.
And I was like, I could drive home 20 minutes, but then that's going to cut down almost an hour of sleep. My work's right next to campus. I'll just sleep here. Yeah, I was like grinding. So when I got to the summer, I was sleeping 8 hours. I was like, this is awesome.
Like, this is easy.
Yeah. And everyone else was like, man, this is so hard. And so my first day I sold 3, and I just pretty much sold like 2 to 4 accounts every day the whole summer. Uh-huh. I didn't have like big days or bad days. I just consistent. 2 to 4. Because I was just happy with the production. Right. So I think I could have done a lot more, but I was like, this is great.
Wow. So sold with Moxie. And then what were you thinking after that summer?
Dude, so I did Moxie, then I was about ready to drop out. I was like, man, I saw the vision. I was like, I could freaking kill it. But then like I said, that year before was so hard. I was like, there's no way I took like this quantum chemistry class. You have no idea. It was awful. Like over half the class failed, just straight failed, and I had to switch their.
Did you fail?
No. I failed the first 2 tests. Okay. I got like a 23 on the first test.
Wow.
Yeah, it was bad.
Like super hard.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. But no, I ended up passing. And there was no curve. That's like this guy walked in. He was like, this was the first day of class. This guy walked in. He was like, my name's John. I was in the military. I was a Marine. There's going to be no curve in this class. If you fail, you fail. And I was like, okay. And then this was the kicker. He was like, and I don't want to teach this class. I got told last week I was teaching this class. Everyone was like, so you had to do that class if you were doing a chemical processing concentration. Okay. All of my buddies switched their concentration to bio and just went to a different class. It was super funny. But
so after that summer, you're like, I don't want to drop out because I just busted my ass the last year taking all these stupid ass classes.
Exactly. Yeah. I was like, I owe it to myself to put that degree on my wall because that was so hard. Yeah. And so I did the next year. Mm-hmm. Did another year with Moxie. Mm-hmm. And my production pretty much maintained. I recruited some guys. I think that year my guys maybe did like 350,000.
How many guys did you have, do you think?
I recruited probably like 11, and then, like probably 7 showed up. And then, like I think my best rep was Simo that year. That was my second year. And
did you go back to DC?
Yeah, we went back to DC.
Okay.
And he did like, I want to say 70, 80K his first summer. Mm-hmm. And he was like my best guy. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, it wasn't anything crazy, but then, now I'm done with school. So now I'm like,
you probably made good money though, year 2.
Dude, I thought, right? So the problem and the reason I left was they loved spending money in your name, right? They loved putting rookies in like super nice places for housing. They put all the rookies on cruises before the summer, all this stuff. Anyways, my brother-in-law is a part owner at Sela, and he was like, dude, come over here. We'll take care of you. If anything happens, don't worry about it. We got your back. And I was like, okay, sure. So I went over there, and I didn't have them put it in writing. So this is why I filed bankruptcy. Is I didn't have them put it in writing, and they covered like the first like 10 grand of the lawsuit.
And so you didn't have them put in writing that they take care of any legal fees.
Exactly. Yeah. And, and then Moxie, they didn't give me any more pay at that point. And so then, dude, it was like, what am I supposed to do? I don't have any money.
Wait, so you took your guys from Moxie to Sela, and Moxie files a lawsuit against you.
Yeah, they sued me for $500,000. And,
$500,000.
Yeah.
And you're how old?
I was 22.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
scary.
And they served me on my anniversary.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
What a gift.
My 1 year anniversary lawsuit.
So holy crap. So and Selah had basically told you that they'd take care of any lawsuit, but you didn't get it in writing, and so now you have this $500,000 lawsuit over your head.
Yeah.
And you're 22.
Yeah. Yeah. And what's funny is if like looking back, I'm like, man, those both sides are so stupid. I'm looking back and I was like, Moxie, if they would have reached back out and said, hey, here's a higher deal and we'll drop the lawsuit, dude, I probably would have gone back. Like 95% chance would have gone back.
Yeah.
But they just like dug in.
Wow.
And then with Selah, it's like, I was very blinders on, like, I got to succeed because now I filed bankruptcy. So I have no credit. Like, I need money. I moved into my sister's spare bedroom.
Dang.
And it was like, it sucked. And so, but because of that, like, back was against the wall. I had to make it work. And then they were suing me in bankruptcy court.
And you probably didn't have much.
I had nothing. I had
Nothing.
no money.
Like you had to give it all away.
Yeah. So, well, I didn't have to give it away. I just didn't have anything because I spent it on school. I'd spent paying off the rest of my student loans.
You had no assets.
Stuff. Yeah, exactly.
So you lost. So you didn't really lose anything, did you?
I didn't lose anything because I didn't have anything. Yeah.
So,
but I got rid of the lawsuit.
Okay, so you just filed bankruptcy, got rid of the lawsuit.
Yeah.
And you were back to square one with like a huge chip on your shoulder.
Yeah. So went out to Selah. My sales doubled that year.
Like your personal sales?
My personal sales. And my team did like $900K that summer. Cool. So that was a big earning year for me. I went from, I think I got paid maybe like 70 at Moxie the year before and then 180 at Selah. So it was a big,
huge.
Yeah, it was a huge increase. I was pumped. Like, dude, I was like cloud nine. I was like, I knew it. I knew it would work. I knew I could make money in this industry.
That's awesome.
And I blew almost all of it.
What'd you buy?
Dude, I bought Rolexes. I bought a bunch of suits. I bought like a $4,000 laptop. Like anything I wanted, I just bought.
Yeah. Not really assets, mostly liabilities. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, liabilities, but I owned them outright. So
yeah. Depreciating assets.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is a fun story. So you do 2 years at Moxie and don't really make a whole lot. And then you take your guys to Selah, you get sued, you file bankruptcy, and you have like a chip on your shoulder, and then you just go all in at Selah and make 180K.
Yep.
And you just start blowing your money.
Yeah, I blew it.
And then what happened?
Dude, and then I bought a Supra that year too. That was a liability.
Nice.
Because I didn't pay cash. I got when we filed bankruptcy, only I filed bankruptcy, so we still had my wife's credit.
Okay,
yeah.
Sick.
So,
wouldn't they get both of you, or how did you?
No, I could just file, but they were just suing me, so it counted as debt against me, right?
Yeah.
Or something like, I think that's how the lawyer explained it. So it was like, this is my debt.
Yeah, not my wife.
I'll just file bankruptcy.
Cool.
Exactly. So that was the difference. When most people get debt, right, it's in both people's names.
Lesson: keep debt in one person's name. So
just in case.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, that actually ended up helping me a lot later on. But so then the next year, they started making some changes that I didn't like. They made the service worse. They made it that you couldn't sell certain things, and so the belief wasn't there. And I was comfortable, and a lot of my hopes and dreams of like. One of the big reasons I left Moxie was I made a 5-year plan, and I was like, I'm going to buy this many places. I'm going to hire this many people every year. Like I had it drawn out, showed it to my manager, and he was like, yeah, that's probably not super realistic. And I was like, all right.
Like what an idiot.
Yeah. I was like, dude, I see 21-year-olds freaking driving Lamborghinis.
Yeah.
Like, you're telling me I wasn't even like a super high goal. I think it was maybe like 25 properties or something.
Yeah. So you didn't really have a leader that believed in you at Selah. Yeah.
Or no, that was at Moxie. So that was one of the big reasons I left Moxie. But when I was at Selah, and then I was making the money. And to be fair, he was right with the deal they had me. Like,
you weren't going to make that much. Yeah.
But with Selah, so I was making the money, and I was like, I could be doing this stuff, but the vision wasn't there because I thought it was impossible because of the bankruptcy. So, and it didn't happen until my second year there, like another boom light switch hit they started making some changes I really didn't like. And one of the big reasons I went there was they were like, hey, if you hit $1.5 million, we'll give you equity. And I sat down with them because I did that the second year. My team did $1.5 million, and I was like, well, let's take a look at this equity. Dude, and then it just sucked.
Like it's nothing.
No, like I'm good at math, right? People, and here's the thing is like, I find a lot of people in this industry that they're just not good at math, right? And it's like, they have no idea. And I go to like door-to-door con sometimes and I'm like, you're making how much? Like
you got a golden door and you're making how much?
Yeah, I was like, I'm like, you're kind of stupid. Anyway, so I'm good at math. Like that's what I did. Yeah. And so they're like showing me all the numbers and you got your marketing deal goes away and then you took equity and this and that.
Wow.
And so then I was like, I just popped open Excel and I was like, okay, and how much would the branch sell and how much is my owner? And I just plopped it out down and I like flipped my screen around. I was like, guys, if I just kept my marketing deal, the money difference that I would have from your equity, I could just put in the S&P and I have more money in 5 years. I was like, am I missing something?
Math's not adding
Yeah,
up.
no. And then the main guy was like, no, I think you're missing something. And I was like,
show me.
It's right there. What's wrong? Well, let's not go into it right now. And that's what he said. And I was like, okay, so this sucks. I'm not doing that. Because I was supposed to own the Nashville office. That's the one that I was pushing. I was like, I really want Nashville.
Yeah.
And the other problems with the equity too, it's like, and you probably see this, like you've been in the game, like, dude, there's like 99% of the equity out there is like fake equity.
Fake.
Right?
Yeah.
They can take it away at any point and they're like, yeah, but I'm getting a K1. I'm like, yeah, but in your contract, if you do this, they can take it away.
It gets diluted too.
They can dilute it. Another thing was like, who determines the value and can they buy you out at any point? It's like, because if they can buy you out at any point and they determine the value of it,
you have nothing.
You got nothing, right? And so I was like, you know what? I'd rather own my own assets, and that's when I left door to door. And that's what I was like, I'm done. I was pissed.
Wow. How much did you make that second year at Salo though? $250. So you made good money.
Yeah, and that year I was smart with it. I only bought assets. Not only did I buy assets, it's like my wife is the best for this because I like no one would put up with this. But I was like, we bought our house, we rented out the other rooms. And that's when I started doing
like in the same house, not a different unit.
Same house. Wow. In the same house because. Dude, my mortgage was $1,000 and one bedroom was renting out for $900. The second bedroom was another $900.
Wow. So you were cash flow positive. Living there for free.
Living there for free. We rented all of our cars on Turo.
Was that in New Mexico?
That was in New Mexico. Okay. Rented all of our cars on Turo, even our personal ones. She hated it, but no car payments, right? No. So it's like I had no car payments, no insurance, no house payment, no utility payments. Like,
so you turned all your depreciating assets into
cash flowing. Yeah. So I've got a book. It's called Unchained Wealth. And I talk about like the different classifications in there. Cause it's like everyone looks at looks at liabilities and they're like, oh, liability's bad. Right. It's like you can get cash flowing liabilities. Liability just means that it could potentially take money out of your pocket. Right. And so like all the Turo cars, I didn't own those cash for the first few. I didn't. Right. And so anyways,
people can get your book too on your Instagram, right?
Yeah, 100%. Go on Instagram, go on Amazon, go on, I got a website.
Unchained Wealth by Michael Lancot.
Yeah, exactly.
Heck yeah.
Thanks.
Dude, I have it. I need to read it. I haven't read it, but I want to. I will read it. I swear.
So I'm doing a series, right? So I just released a book called Pipeline to Wealth. And Pipeline to Wealth talks about, and I'll tell you about.
So you have 2 books so far.
So I got 2 books and I got 3 more that I'm going to be coming out with the series.
So Unchained Wealth is the first one. And then Pipeline Wealth.
So it's kind of backwards.
Okay.
So Pipeline to Wealth is like the whole overview of like, these are the stages you need to do to become wealthy.
Cool.
Unchained Wealth is stage 3.
Cool.
So I did Unchained Wealth first though. And then I was like, this doesn't tell the whole picture. And then that's when I wrote Pipeline to Wealth.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was a good time. That celery's killing you.
Dude, it's killing me. I'm drinking celery juice right now and my stomach's going nuts. Dude, that's cool. Okay, so you wrote a book.
Yeah, wrote a book. It's good. Just got a lot of it out there.
Yeah,
it felt good.
Dude, that's awesome. I'm actually writing a book right now.
Oh, congrats!
It's gonna be fun.
That's huge.
Okay, wait. So you leave Sela. You had just made $250K.
Yep.
Your downline did over 1.5 mil.
Yep.
And then what are you thinking you're gonna do instead?
My own businesses. So I was like, I'm gonna start my own businesses where I have control.
So what were you going to do? What were your plans?
So I started my Turo management company, Fleet and Go. And dude, that was back in COVID. All like the rental car shortage. It was nuts. Like I had cars that I got 150% ROI on year 1. It was ridiculous. Plus depreciation.
Wow.
It was because they had to rent from you. There was no cars at Enterprise.
Wow.
And you could charge whatever you wanted.
in Albuquerque.
Yeah. In a lot of places.
And how many cars did you have?
At that time, I built up to 35.
Wow.
Yeah.
You were managing some and then you had your own too.
So I was managing a lot in my house. And then I was like, I got to open up other locations. And then, cause Albuquerque was getting swarmed. Cause I told all my family members, I was like, go buy Turo cars.
Yeah.
And they were killing it, And so we probably had half the listings in Albuquerque, just like myself and my family. And then, so I was like, you know what? I'm going to open up a location in San Antonio, in Vegas. And I had this idea of kind of like Turo's a ride share, Airbnb's a house share. I was like, what about a management share where a manager who doesn't necessarily have the money to get his own cars could manage my cars and I'll pay him, and create this platform where managers and people who own cars could connect. And that was the idea with Fleet and Go. And so people who lived close to airports, who I knew, who would take good care, and I opened up like 3 or 4 locations. Then Enterprise got all their cars. Mm-hmm. So profits went down. They were still really good. But then I was like, I don't really want to do car management. It's not like what I want. I want to invent stuff. And I was like, but if I want to invent stuff, I need a lot more money, because I was cash flow in 6 figures, like after expenses, after everything.
Wow.
I was good, but I was like, if I want to invent stuff, I need a big influx of cash, because you have 3 options, right? If you're starting a business, you can get a loan, or if you don't have the money, you can get a loan, in which case you have a major liability. And if you have down quarters, you put you and your family at risk. And I was like, I don't really want
And those interest rates are really high usually.
Yeah, they're high interest rates. It's like, I don't really want that. Number 2, I could give up equity of my business, a large percentage of equity. Like, dude, when you watch Shark Tank and you're like, these people are giving up 20-30% of their business for like $100,000.
Right.
Like,
so stupid.
You're like, oh my gosh, never.
Yeah.
You're also getting the relationships those guys have, which is honestly way more valuable than their $100,000.
Yeah.
And then the third thing you can do is have the money. So yeah. So those are, so I was like, I'm going to just go have the money. Yeah.
So you're like, I'm getting back into pest control.
Yeah.
But you were like ready to go make a lot of cash and go do the industry right. And you had more business experience too. And you're probably just more all in at this point.
Well, dude, yeah. I mean, and this, like, you got a ton of real estate, you got a ton of passive, and like, I don't know if you experienced this, but when I didn't have to worry about like my finances at all, like when I had enough passive income to cover all my expenses, dude, it was like a chemical shift in my brain to where I was like, I can do whatever the hell I want to do.
It's the coolest thing in the world.
It was like, it went from like, I was thinking in 3D to now I could think in 4D. Yeah. Like I could just do whatever I want, and there was no consequences essentially.
I just want to touch on that for a second. Like, guys, the day that comes when you have money coming in every month from your investments or your business, if it's totally passive and your income from your investments exceeds your expenses, your life changes.
It's like a transformative experience.
Yeah, it's the best thing in the world, because I said this on another podcast, but Jimmy Rex says, if you have to do something, it's work. If you do something because you want to, it's play. And like, life goes from work to play, because you work because you want to, not because you have to. And you just show up differently. You have like all this weight on your shoulders just get lifted. And like, it's just so much easier to smile.
100%.
Easier to sell, easier to do everything.
Well, you think about how much of your brain power would go to, can I pay my mortgage? Can I pay this? Can I pay these bills? Can I save up for this vacation? Can I do that? All that's gone. That's not taking up brain capacity anymore.
Yeah.
Now you can just focus on whatever you want, whether that's, if you want to focus on family, you're going to have a better family experience than you ever could have, right? If you want to focus on building a business, you can focus on that better than you ever could have.
And not worry about it being profitable. Yeah.
Exactly.
No, it's true. Like, you have this new foundation, and like, you have this new level of certainty and security in your life, because no matter what happens, like, you can pay bills.
Yep. Dude, have you played Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow game?
Yeah, dude, I play it all the time. Like, I have my guys play it.
I love it because it's like
cash flow.
Yeah, to get out of the rat race, you just more passive income than expenses. That's it.
It's huge. Go play. You can play for free online. RichDad.com. And yeah, literally cash flow. You can play for free. You make an account, you can play for free. And then there's also the board game that you can go buy. I have it, but
dude, we need to go play.
Dude,
I got it too.
I'll wreck you.
No, you won't.
Dude, I play that game all the time. There's literally a promise in that game. Like I bought the board game. There's literally a promise in the instructions that says, if you play this for 1 hour a month, you will become a millionaire.
That's crazy.
That's what it says.
I believe it.
And I became a millionaire by 22 because I played that game like literally an hour a month. Like me and my friend Caleb Karpowitz, shout out. We used to literally like, if it was like 8 o'clock at night, hey, you want to play cash flow? We play each other. He was in Vineyard, I was in Provo.
That's a long game too. It's not quick.
Dude, not when you play with me. I win fast.
Really? Well, long game meaning it's usually about an hour.
Well, if you play the board game, it is, but the virtual one, it speeds it up a lot.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's the same game, but it's just more efficient.
Dude, it's funny because I'll play with like new guys. Like whenever I have these new managers coming in, and we'll play.
Yeah.
And it becomes so funny because they blow all their money, and then they start getting those doodad cards, and they're like, man, a boat, dinner, and I'm like, now take this and apply it.
Dude, it's such a good game. Like it really is. Like games are a really easy, quick way of learning. Like it's one of the triangle of learning. It's like at the top because it's like super engaging. And yeah, if you apply it, like you really do change how you look at expenses. You change how you look at what you spend your money on. And like it really teaches you financial literacy. Me and my guys actually do a book club every month.
No way. That's awesome.
And we just read Rich Dad Poor Dad.
There you go.
And we just did our book club discussion on it last night. And it's, go read Rich Dad Poor Dad, go play the game because it's huge.
Yeah.
And then his second part too is Cash Flow Quadrants, which is a great
Super
book
good
too.
book too. So it's funny because in Unchained Wealth,
Yeah.
I kind of take like that philosophy of the quadrants, but then I just dive a lot deeper because there was stuff I didn't agree with him in. Right, like he would count, properties as liabilities. Right, he talks about, hey, your property's liability. And I was like, well, I rent out rooms in my property, and I'm positive, back then.
Yeah.
So then I was like, I think he was right, but I think now because that book was written a long time ago.
Rich Dad Poor Dad.
What do you think, like 25 years ago or something?
At least, yeah.
And it's like, dude, they didn't have Airbnb back then. They didn't have Turo. They didn't have like a lot of the stuff we have access to nowadays.
Wait, you're saying that you don't agree with like, because he does say like your house isn't an asset.
Yeah.
It's a liability.
Right.
But he also says an asset is anything that puts money in your pocket, and a liability is anything that takes money in your pocket. And if your house is paying you every month, it's an asset.
Right. But the problem is, so let's say like I knew a lot of people who got in trouble with Turo. They bought a bunch of Corvettes. They bought a bunch of Jeeps.
I do too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they got in all this debt, and they thought, oh, look at all these assets.
Yeah. They weren't assets.
They got screwed.
They were assets maybe at one point.
But then, so that's why I broke it down to you can have a liability is something that has the potential to take money out of your pocket. So if it has the potential to take money out of your pocket, it's a liability.
But even a rental property has the potential to take money out of your pocket.
Not if you own it cash.
True. So do you own your rental properties cash?
No. So they're cash flowing liabilities.
Okay. No, I agree with you. Like I have
Actually,
a property.
I own a couple of them.
Yeah, I have a property out of state that's like sat vacant for 2 months because the property manager's not doing his job.
It's a liability.
And it became a liability. Like it was negative cash flow for me. And I'm like, why the hell did I buy this freaking...
So then you can factor in like, but my tax savings and but this, but that. So that's why when I broke it down, I was like, okay, there's got to be a better way to break that down. And so I broke it down into more of, you can have cash flowing liabilities, you can have cash draining liabilities, you can have cash flowing assets, but you could also have assets that could cash drain you in the sense of but with assets, you have the option to put more money in. Like, so if I own a property outright, let's say, for example, and I have the option to put more money into it. I don't have to. It's not going to cash flow me anything, but I still own it outright, and it's not going to take money out of my pocket anymore.
Right.
So I just think it was more out of date just because it was written so long ago.
So you kind of break it down in your book is what you're saying.
Yeah,
cool.
I break it down to a little bit more of what I think is accurate and as far as today's world. And in 10 years it could be completely different.
Dude, I'm excited to read it.
Yeah.
So wait, so you signed with Hawks.
Yeah.
And what year is this?
Dude, so this was, I'd done 2 years Moxie, 2 years Salo, so this is year 5.
Year 5 in door to door, but what year? Like 20?
Oh,
22?
3 years ago.
22?
Oh yeah, so I guess this was
21.
Yeah, this was 3 years ago, so this is 24, so 21.
So you just finished your 3rd summer with Hawks, and you just made $3 million.
Yeah,
crazy. Okay, so let's talk about that. So how did year 1 go?
Dude, year one went like, I couldn't have expected year one to go any better than it did.
Wow.
Right? I recruited up, because I had like 0 guys.
Yeah.
So I was starting fresh.
Did your guys stay at Selah?
Most of them left
the
door to
industry.
door or
Okay.
stayed at Selah. I only had Simo come with me, really.
Wow. So you had no guys when you started at Hawks.
Yeah. So I was like, I need to recruit super fast. And I was like, man, that was a big factor for me. I was like, this guy's got something to teach me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have recruiting down, dude. And I want to have that down because that's a very valuable skill.
Super. So how did he recruit 400? Like, what was his main method?
I think a lot on TikTok.
Wow.
Yeah. A lot of different
Social media.
ways. Social media.
Yeah.
And it was like, I got as good at sales as I wanted to. I sold 250K. I was like, I had zero ambition to be a Golden Door rep. Personal opinion here. When I'm applying to like a huge business deal in 20 years and like me being a Golden Door rep is not going to come up.
It's true.
Right.
Because the reality is like, okay, cool, you can sell well, but it's like the best recruiters make the most in door to door, period. End of story. I don't care who you are. Like Michael made $3 million this year. Show me a Golden Door rep that made $3 million. It doesn't happen.
You know how many people have ever made $1 million like in their pocket from selling pest control?
Probably maybe one.
One this year.
Who?
Marshall Hawks.
Wow.
That was it. Ever.
Do you guys hear that?
Tens of thousands of salesmen.
Like, I think you need to learn to be competent in sales, but you do not need to go be a Golden Door rep. Like, the only reason you should want to go, if you do want to go be a Golden Door rep, is just to be a better leader, better trainer for your guys.
Yeah. And if that's something that they're ambitious about, the way I view it is, I get a lot of these people, they'll go after me and they'll be like, oh, I'd rather be a master of one trait than a jack of many traits. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. There's a lot of insanely wealthy people that are only good at one thing. Nice.
Dude, well, even going back to Rich Dad, Poor Dad, his poor dad says go specialize in one thing.
Dude, it's so
His
funny.
rich dad says go learn accounting, go learn legal, go learn managing, go learn leadership, go learn sales.
Yep.
Because you need all of those things to run a good business.
You do. You need to know
You can't just be a top rep and only focus on selling.
I've heard you need to be a master of one versus jack of all trades.
Yeah.
I've heard that probably like 15 times this year. And I'm just like, every time they say, it's like, listen to what you just said. I was like,
dude,
that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
Here's the crazy thing. I was talking to a guy. He did $1 million in revenue personally, and he had $7 million in his downline. $7 million in his downline, $1 million in personal rev. He made $600,000.
I already knew it was going to be under $1 million. I already knew it because I know exactly.
I'm like, bro, if I personally sold $1 million and did $7 million in downline, at least like $2 million.
Yeah,
he didn't even break seven figures.
Theft.
Shafted.
Just straight. Absolutely.
And then they go back.
And then they go back. Oh, I know.
It's shocking.
I was talking to this kid yesterday, and he was like, hey, dude, on the flip side, he was super pumped about equity at a company. And he was like, hey, dude, we're going to blow this place up. And I was like, nice. He was like, we got a plan over the next 10 years. We're going to sell for $3 to $5 billion. And I was like, it's a pest control company.
Just be like, what happened with Active?
I was like, nice. I was like, okay. The leaders you guys are working with, have they ever owned a pest control company before? No. I was like, oh. Do you know what the largest door-to-door pest control company has ever sold for? He was like, no. And I was like, $1 billion. And they owned a lot of pest control companies in the past. They had a lot of experience. And I mean, how long had Aptiv been around before they sold? Like, not Altera, I'm talking about
Eco
Aptiv.
First, Moxie.
Yeah,
they were originally a Moxie branch.
Yeah,
like 20 years.
Yeah, and then it was like, so they had a lot of experience. So it's like, how long has Aptiv been a thing though? Like 12 years?
Since 2015. So
almost 10.
Yeah.
Okay, so 10 years. Okay,
Yeah.
so I was like, dude, so you're telling me you're going to have a 3 to 5 times more valuation than Aptiv. I was like, all right.
Good luck.
Go do it, dude.
Good luck.
I was like, and then he was like, yeah, because they're going to give us equity and we're going to get a percentage equity. And he was like, and I'm going to be half of that. And I was like, if you're a $3 to $5 billion worth company, I was like, and I was like, have you done the math behind this? Going back to the math, and door-to-door guys, a lot of them just being bad at math.
Don't know math. Yeah.
Yeah. And he was like, no, I haven't. I was like, that would be an important thing for you to do.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was just pretty funny. But yeah, so going back to Hawks, because we tangent there. I made $500,000 my first summer. I was pumped.
How many guys did you recruit that off season?
I signed 60.
How'd you do
64. That? A lot of social media.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't like to
like DMing or what?
DMing, ads, people, referrals. I got a lot from referrals from old reps.
Yeah, cool. So 60 reps go out.
No, 60 signed.
Okay, 60 signed.
Sick. Yeah. I like 40, a little over 40 go out.
So. And how'd that first year with Hawks go?
Dude, it went good. 30 some finished. We did $3 million in revenue.
Let's go.
Made $500,000.
You're pumped.
That was as much money as I made my entire previous career.
Yeah, combined.
Yeah, just in 1 year. And it was so funny because there was that year, Hawks kind of like really blew up. There was a ton of people who came in, and there were a lot of people who did not make money because they ran their marketing deals poorly, right? And so I'd run into so many people, and they were like, "Man, yeah, F them," like, and I was like,
"You're an idiot."
I just made $500,000. Like, you're on crack.
Like you knew how to run your numbers, and you were smart with your marketing deal. Yeah,
a marketing deal. Like, people need to switch. If you're on a marketing deal,
it's business.
Not a marketing deal. It's a marketing business.
Yeah, it is.
You have immediately come in, and you have expenses come out.
Yeah,
and unless you can balance that, you're toast.
If you don't know math, you're toast.
If you're giving guys sign-ons, and if you're spending all kinds of money, and if you're booking housing for the amount of people you sign, you're going to go negative.
You're going to go negative.
You have to treat it like a business.
For sure. Okay, so after that summer, you're probably just high on life.
Dude.
Just pumped.
Yeah, I had a rookie who did $200K that year. My best rookie before that had done 100.
Wow. Just massive. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, everything is amazing here. I was so in my own world of this was incredible.
Yeah.
It was so funny.
Where did your team sell that summer?
St. Louis.
St. Louis.
Yeah.
Dude, I love St. Louis.
It was a great market.
Great market.
Unless if you're there's a specific company, small company, dude, they had like 50-some% attrition.
Wow.
They just lost their whole office, I heard.
Wow.
Because there's a lot of ghetto. And if you're not,
there is. You got to knock in the higher income there. Yeah, for sure.
If you're selling ghetto, any company, you're having
or any market. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I remember one week, dude, I was knocking like Ferguson. They still had the barricades up.
I haven't even heard of Ferguson. I've knocked in St. Louis, so it's probably ghetto.
It was very bad. Yeah. And so
they had the barricades for what?
For the riots that they had back like 8 years ago or something.
They still had barricades.
The barricades were still there. Because I remember I was knocking and I was like, "What are those?" And they were like, "Oh, from the riots." And I was like, "Huh."
How do you get out of here?
Needless to say, my attrition in that week was not great.
Right. So, and then how many reps did you recruit that second year?
Dude, the second year we signed 500 guys.
So you went from 40 selling to 500.
500 signed, probably like 300 selling.
How'd you do that?
Dude, I started creating systems. So I was like, okay, I made $500,000. I recruited this.
Yeah, now you need to
how can I lower the barrier of entry and make it easy for guys to do it? Yeah. I started making systems. I started doing a lot of stuff for the guys to make it very easy.
What'd you do? Like videos of how to do it? Yeah,
so like videos on how to do it, like scripts on how to do it. I just made everything I did in writing there so they could see it. And it was pretty clunky at first to do. I had it all in like a Google Drive.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, doing something is always better than doing nothing.
Better than nothing, yeah.
And you get too many people who are like, I have to do something and it has to be perfect.
Right.
Like one of my favorite sayings is like, anything worth doing is worth doing shitty. It's like a twist on anything worth doing is worth doing well.
Yeah, at first it's worth doing shitty.
It is. It really is. Because if you just don't do it, you're going to have no results. So, dude, it was clunky. It wasn't pretty. And I was like, but I put it all there and I was really pushed the guys to like do it. And then on top of that, because we had just had such a big year, I was pumped. I was working insane hours. I was flying to schools. I slept in like 10 airports that year.
Wow.
Just because I was like, all right, well,
So it was mostly, I guess, going from the 30 to 300 was mostly like, nailing down social media even more, and then teaching your guys how to do what you were doing.
Exactly.
Cool.
Yeah, exactly. And I had some big losses that year. Big losses. I still cleared a mill, but I lost like 200 some grand on a team.
Wow.
Just that, they didn't like,
I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
I could run my businesses properly, but that I didn't duplicate that. I duplicated the
teach
recruiting.
Them how to run a marketing deal
this year. So the third year, so that was year 2. The third year, so much better on that. It was like night and day difference. I went negative on probably that second year. I probably went negative on 4 teams.
Wow.
Sucked.
Dang.
Yeah.
How much revenue you do year 2?
8 million.
8 million.
Yeah.
But you made over $1 million bucks.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, that's huge.
With everything. And I would have cleared over $1 million just in pest if I hadn't gone negative on those teams.
Wow.
Right. But I still cleared $1 million with my Turo because I was still pumping Turo at the time. I had with my properties with other stuff too. Yeah.
And then fast forward to this last year, how many reps did you have go out?
Dude, we signed 1,000. I think we had 700 go out.
Let's go.
Yeah. And we had 700 go out.
And you made
$3 million.
That's so sick, dude. Okay, 700. How much revenue did you guys do? You said 22 million.
In past, we did 22 million, but then we started doing fiber. We started doing some of the other stuff. Yeah. So I was a lot less afraid to fire people early because we had other facets that we could plug them into.
That's cool.
Yeah. So that worked out really well to just be like, hey, you know, you're going to do like 20K this summer. You're a really good dude. Let's put you somewhere else.
Wow.
Yeah. So
you went from 300 to 700, so doubled again. Or you didn't just double for the first year, but that's crazy.
Which is funny. Yeah, that first year. And like part of that, dude, we should have had more than 1,000. I should have had more than 1,000 guys sign. I should have. And but because of those huge negatives, I was pretty sad, dude. Yeah. I was like, this freaking blows. Yeah. I should have made X amount. This is how much I was planning on. I made X amount, which was still amazing money, but I didn't hit my goal, which really pissed me off in the past, right? And so I definitely let that hit our numbers because we should have done more. Like doubling, I was like, when I look back and it's like, oh, we doubled. Like that sucks. I don't want to double. I wanted to 10x again. Yeah. You know,
because you 10x the first year.
Yeah, 10x the first year. And it's like, yeah, it's harder with bigger numbers, but at double. Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't happy at all. If any of my guys if any of my guys watching this, if you have less than 50 reps, you're like honestly a total loser. Like they are. It's so easy. Yeah. Like I've got guys who literally had 2 reps last year who have over 50 guys right now. Yeah.
Dude, cool. This has been awesome. So your story's insane. So, and then the last, so you went from first year at Hawks making 500, then $1 million, and then 3 million. And now you're just plugging almost all of that into assets. You bought how many properties this last year?
This last year? Yeah. Probably 20, but
that's crazy.
11 of them were in July.
11 houses in July.
Well, dude, I was going to buy a lot more, but then my accountant was like, you're good on taxes.
Because you're just cost seg.
Yeah, I was just getting on the cost seg. And so he was, and then
to not pay taxes. So cost segregation is a way to accelerate depreciation on your rental property, so you don't pay income tax on 3 million.
The depreciation is great. Plus, on top of that, I'll put solar on them. I still do that. Let's go. Dude, here's what's crazy. Again, not financial advice or tax advice, blah blah blah, whatever. But dude, I didn't know this until this year. If you put solar on like a Section 8, like you could get 40%, and if it's American, you can get 50%, and if it's in if it's in an energy saving zone, you can get 60, like up to 60% tax credits.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's huge.
It's ridiculous.
And then you can get your own commission on the solar deal too.
And you get this is crazy. You get credits on your commission.
That's wild.
So anyways,
Michael's a genius. Like the only nuclear engineer we have in the door-to-door. He's doing things different.
Dude, I also just hate taxes. Like, dude. I was like, I'm gonna do what I need to. Like, I'm gonna figure this out.
Eliminate taxes.
Yeah. You know, like I'll be a little bit more okay with paying taxes now that Trump's in. He'll use the money the right way a little bit more now. Yeah. But when Biden was sending money to gender studies in Pakistan and crap, I was like, no,
I'm not supporting this.
This is ridiculous. I'm gonna find every freaking loophole.
Yeah, it's like I'm not supporting that charity.
Yeah, no, exactly. So that's why I was like, anyways, that's why I stopped buying properties, because one of my sister-in-laws, she's like this valedictorian at Harvard, and she works at private equity, and their funds have like the most ridiculous returns ever. Yeah. So I was like, unless if I get the tax benefits, I'm not going to get enough appreciation and cash flow to make up for how much I could make in this. Wow. So if you remove the tax saving, this is better. So So I started, and then we're doing our own projects as like a team. We're building like this massive cabin up near
Dude, I heard about that. That's sick.
I'm pumped. It's going to sleep like 45 people.
When is it done?
It'll be done around July, August.
Dude, that's sick.
Perfect time. Summer ends.
Just go cabin.
Region trip. Yeah.
Where is it at?
It's in Island Park. So it's on Bill's Island.
Where's Island Park?
Next to Yellowstone.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, like 30 minutes away from Yellowstone. So super popular all year round. Snowmobiling.
Yellowstone's sick.
It's yeah. So I'm hyped for that. So I was like, okay, time to start funneling money where I could get 30% plus returns, because with properties, with appreciation and with cash flow, it's hard to break, even 20 sometimes.
Yeah.
So,
dude, that's huge.
Yeah, thanks.
You're a beast, dude.
Oh, I appreciate it.
Dude, that's wild. Like, your story's actually insane in door to door. Like, there's not a lot of stories like yours at all.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's made it was good because it's like, I look back and I was like, man, the bankruptcy sucked, but I can relate to a lot more people. Yeah. Like when I talk to people and they're like, dude, I'm freaking broke. I was like, yeah,
I know how that feels.
I get that.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, dude, we freaking just got evicted. It's like, dude, we couldn't get an apartment. Like, that's why I had to move in with my sister, because we didn't have the credit.
Wow.
Right. So they didn't approve our apartment. So it's like, all right, so I just had to do that. And so, and then, we have terrible credit. I was like, I had an 800 before I had to file bankruptcy. Yeah.
Like,
I had a great
you always
score.
paid your bills. Yeah.
Yeah. And so anyway, so it's like, these guys are like, man, I got terrible credit. I was like, yeah, I get that. I was there.
Wow.
So looking back, it was like, you should always find like things to be grateful for in every situation. And I think even though it sucked, like it really sucked, I was able to take a lot from it and relate to a lot more people and actually find some benefit in there.
Wow. Life happens for you, not to you.
Yeah.
Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
No, I agree. And I think a lot of people, when bad stuff happens, they get this victim mentality, like, oh, why does this happen to me? I got this, and this. And then they talk about the problems because it gives them a way of feeling significance, because, oh, my problems are bigger than yours. Like, you wouldn't even understand what I got to deal with. Yeah. And and then they talk about their problems more and more. And so they're putting more energy on their problems, and then they just become this victim. Like their personality is victimhood.
Yep. There's so many people like it too. It's like, it's honestly disgusting. Like, it's so annoying to be around. I'm a lot more brash, I would say, than I used to be. I used to be like very listening, and like now, like there's
cut this shit.
Yeah, no, literally, like there was this call I was on yesterday, and this guy was just going on, and I was like, get to the freaking point, dude. Like
get your shit together.
I was so annoyed.
Everyone, like, I mean, if I feel like it's hard when you're in it. Like, there's no way around that. Like, it's hard when you're in it, but like, go read Extreme Ownership.
Yeah, seriously.
Like, go read Jocko Willink's book. Yeah. It's good,
because you can either be a victim or you can just move forward.
Yeah,
right.
Like,
and it's funny because like I was talking to someone actually 2 days ago about this. So he was like, yeah, I was really unhappy with this. And I was like, look, dude, you can either keep being a victim, and it's hard. It's mentally hard to like just drop it. But it's like, it's so much harder to hold on to it. Like, if you really think about it. And so it's like, yeah, there's so many situations where it's like, yeah, you were probably a victim here, but being a victim, you don't want to be a victim
forever.
Like, you don't ever want, like, I don't ever want to be a victim.
Right.
Like, I don't want to admit that I was the victim. I would rather say I learned some lessons here and I came out ahead. Right. I don't want to say I'm a victim. Who wants to follow a victim?
Nobody.
No, none.
No, it's so huge. And if you can, like, anything bad that happens in your life, like, you can find the good in it. Like, my favorite, dude, literally my favorite video, period, is a 2-minute clip from Jocko Willink. It's literally like his favorite word is good. Like, you guys should watch it. It's actually my most viral video that I posted on YouTube Shorts. It got 2.6 million views. Dang. Got me like 3,000 subscribers. Oh. Yeah, that one video did.
That's crazy.
But anyway, his video is literally, it's a 2-minute clip. Just look up good Jocko Willink on YouTube. I'll link it in the description. But literally, he just has he has this like sergeant come up to him. He's like, dude, anytime you tell me something that's bad, your answer is always good. And he's like, well, yeah, like, anything wrong that happens in life, there is some good to come from it. You didn't win, good. You're going to go practice harder and make sure you win the next time. It's such a good mindset, I think.
I love that. Yeah. Well, and at the end of the day, it's just that's the only mindset you can have. You just have to. Like,
you have to.
Like,
it's the growth mindset versus the fixed mindset.
Yeah. That's it. You look at Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk, and it's like, were they victims? They were talked about being victims.
What I like thinking about too is like someone always had it worse than you.
Oh yeah.
And did better with what they had. Like Casey Ball always talks about this, is like everyone is dealt a hand in life. You don't get to pick your parents. You don't get to pick how you look. You don't get to pick where you grew up. You don't get to pick your friends. You don't get to pick your teacher. Like everyone was dealt this hand, and your job in life is to use what you have and play your hand the best way you can.
I love that. It's funny. You ever play Scum?
Oh, it's the best.
Yeah. I think it's just right there. Like you can have an ultra bad hand, but if someone with great cards plays bad, dude, you're taking their queen spot.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, and then there is something there to be said where it's like, well, if you play your hand and you were in that spot already, like the best spot, it's like, yeah, you're gonna crush.
Yeah.
But it's like you don't have to stay in the Scum spot.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, you could really just spend your whole life thinking about how someone had better cards than you and is crushing it better than you. But that doesn't serve you focusing on that.
There's nothing for you.
That hurts you. Or just use that as an inspiration to go do what he did better with where you came from.
Yep.
Dude, it's such a powerful way to look at things. But I just challenge all of you, like, whatever hand you got dealt with in life, your job is to go create the best life with the hand you got dealt. Like Casey also talks about like the talents, like Jesus gave those talents to people, and like your job in life is to use your talents and gifts and skills to go become the best version of you and go help the most people at the highest level.
Dude, no, I love that. I mean, when I find a lot of people doing, even my own guys, and I get like furious at them, is like I'll say, hey, you need to do this. Oh, well, what are the other guys doing? Oh, nothing enrages me more.
What do you say to them? What do you say?
I'm like, it doesn't effing matter what the other guys are doing. You go do what you can. I get pissed.
No, it's huge.
I get so annoyed. And so it's like, challenge everyone watching. It's like, if you ever catch yourself thinking, well, man, these guys, none of that.
Well, it's like,
none.
Well, it's like, do you want what that guy has? Probably not. Yeah. Like to get different things, you have to do different things consistently.
Well, even if you want what the guy has, it's like, oh, but this guy had the, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like that's not your path. You got to figure out your path, you know, nothing enrages me more. So it's like, I was having that a lot this last week, and I was just getting livid with just different groups of like, oh, well, what are these guys? Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. It's like, cause I'll be laying into them like, hey, you didn't do your reports. You didn't do this. You didn't do that. Well, did the other guy? Doesn't matter.
I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you. No, I finally finished. I figured out the quote I was trying to say. Do the best you can where you are with what you have.
Okay.
That's the quote. I was butchering it
earlier. Well. I like it.
So what are you currently working on, or what gets Mike excited right now?
Dude, my goal is I want 1,000 high level partners. Like that's my ultimate goal. Yeah. I have 1,000 high level partners. I'm done. And so everything I do is just developing those 1,000 guys, because
leadership development, baby.
Dude, this is my dream. It's like, imagine you have 1,000 guys in your network who you worked with, who can make over 200 grand if they wanted to, who have, you know, all their expenses covered from assets.
Like they're all out of the rat race with you. Yeah.
1,000 guys out of the rat race. Thank you. Yeah. You got 1,000 guys out of the rat race. Dude, your phone is always going to be going of like, dude, we got to do this. Dude, look at this.
Opportunities.
Endless opportunities. So that's my goal. So
sick.
I just want to do that. That's it. And
1,000 business partners that you help create that are freaking out of the rat race.
Dude, yeah. And at that point, like, you better believe if anyone ever asks me about door to door, instant deny.
Yeah.
Hang up. That chapter of my life, it's like a great chapter, great building.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be moved past
like
that.
You're just using door to door to get out of the rat race yourself and help your guys get out of the rat race.
It's great. And
it's the best vehicle. I think it's the best vehicle.
Like, unless you have like a hack crypto, you
hedge fund.
Yeah. So it's like, no, it is. It's the best way to do what I want to do. And so, but once I'm there, you got to move on at some point. Like, you meet these people who've been in the industry for 15 years or 13 years.
And they're still going out.
Still going out. They're still, and I'm like,
and they still haven't recruited.
Yeah. Like, dude, there's got to be like this is it. This is the peak of your ambition, bro. Like, really? Like, my last 2 years, like, it was so mind numbing for me.
Yeah.
Did you watch any anime?
Dude, I've watched, not really.
Okay. So there's this one called One Piece, bro.
Okay. One Piece.
One Piece. Over 1,000 episodes.
Would you recommend it?
I mean,
He said
that's tough because it's over 1,000.
Okay.
The joke is like no one.
Yeah,
Anyways,
I won't
my last 2 years on the doors, dude. I finished like Naruto. I finished One Piece.
Okay.
Like, and they're coming out with new episodes. But like at that time, I had finished it because I would just knock, and it was so mindless because I was like, they say this, I say that, you know. And I would just listen to it. I was right. Like, looking back, I was like, guys, don't do this at all. Like, I look at myself as like an awful example with that because I was just so mind done. You know, I was like, this is not the best use of my time. I do not want to be doing this. I put up like 270K that year. So it was like, it was fine, but it was like, it was just going back to what you said. It's like, I had to do it.
You have to do it at first.
Yeah. I had to, because I was restarting and I needed to leave.
And you would never be able to recruit someone if you hadn't knocked a door. Yeah.
But at the same time, I was just like,
I agree.
hard.
I agree. It's hard, dude. And I watched, like you watched Naruto. I watched Breaking Bad, not this summer, but last. And dude, it was like my favorite part of the day. Just going home and watching an episode or two of Breaking Bad.
I had my iPad. I had my phone on my iPad.
Yeah.
And I knocked all day. I knocked more hours than anybody else.
Yeah.
While I listened to One Piece.
Yeah.
Or watch One Piece. I would get visibly annoyed with people when they would answer their door.
Because you were watching your anime.
It'd be like the middle of a fight.
Don't do that. If you're in door to door, do not do that. Unless you only want to sell 200K.
Unless you only want to cap out at 270K. But it was just so funny because I was just like so mentally mind done with it. I was like, this is not the best use. And so just like distract myself from like the mundane.
The grind. Like,
yeah. And it was like at some point you just feel like, they say this, you say that. Yeah,
it's like you become a robot. And it's just mindless. I think too, like exactly what you're saying. I think there's 2 steps in door to door. Master the skill, which is like 200K plus.
Yeah.
Master the skill, and then help others master the skill.
Well, yeah. 100%.
Boom. Just do that, and do it well. And like I feel like you've done that. You know.
Well, you think of everything like engineering, everything's efficiency, everything, you know, input, output, right?
Yeah.
That's what we did. And so the way I look at it is it's like, if I could put in 10% of my effort and get 70% of the potential results versus I'd have to put in 90% to get 95%. I'm like, that's diminishing returns. You need to maximize your returns. So if I can put, which goes back to jack of all trades, right? Jack of all trades. But no, it's like, what's the most efficient
best use
of my time? What's going to give me the maximum output for my input? Like, that's how you need to think of it.
Wow.
Like, if I was thinking if mastering, if being the best at that one thing was going to give me the maximum results, then I would do it.
Yeah.
But that's just not the reality of the world.
Wow.
So,
dude, this has been a freaking sick episode.
Dude, thanks for having me.
This has been fun. Great. Last question, we'll wrap up. If you had the whole world's attention for 2 minutes, what would you want them to know?
There's more opportunity now than ever in history. And if you're broke or poor or upset, it's your choice. Like, that's it.
Boom.
Nothing infuriates me more than all the people who say, oh, we're in worse off positions than our parents were. Then don't do what they did. Like, there you go. Don't take their advice then.
No, I love it. I think that's such a huge point because, like, Casey says this, like, in 2024, if you're not successful in all walks of life, you're irresponsible and just ignorant and lazy and stupid.
It is, dude.
Because, like, you have more tools than ever before in human history to go figure it out. You have YouTube. You could go watch an episode with Elon Musk today for free on YouTube. Like, that's never been accessible.
You can learn a new skill
in history
for free.
Yeah.
You used to have to go to school to learn a skill. You can go learn how to be a phenomenal video editor, a phenomenal content creator, a phenomenal running ads, at learning CRMs, at doing something. You could go learn that for free
today
right now.
For free.
And if you're not, it's literally just your choice to be poor.
If you want to learn how to eat healthier, you could go, there's videos, limitless videos on YouTube for free that you could go listen to.
For your body type.
Same with your relationship. You don't like your relationship with your spouse. There are videos of experts that talk about how to have a great marriage that you can listen to for free.
Yep. Yeah, it's
I love that.
all there. And so that's what I would say is I would just really push that as hard because there's so many people who are just despairing, which is right. Like, dude, I mean, they're right. Income is less than it used to be. Like if you were working that same job 30 years ago, college is more expensive, like all those things. So it's like, yeah, you just don't do that. But they're like so fixated. They're so fixed in their box that stepping out of the box just is like, what?
Yeah. Dude, we could go all day, dude. I've asked one question on my list. But no, this has been awesome. Last thing, where can people find you, Mike?
Follow me on Instagram. I'm biggest on Instagram. I'll reply to you. It's Mike's Young and Retired is my Instagram handle. Or I've got websites, youngandretired.com, but Instagram's the best one.
And then go get his book.
And go get my book.
It's free.
Get both of the books.
Is it free?
The one of them is free.
Okay, one of them is free.
Get Pipeline to Wealth.
Get them both.
If you go to Pipeline and then the number 2 Wealth, you can get that book for free.
I think the link's in your bio too, huh?
It is, yeah. Yeah.
Dope.
For both of them, yeah.
Hell yeah. Guys, go follow Michael. He's a beast.
I appreciate
Nuclear scientist, engineer, turned door-to-door salesman. Watch out. But awesome. This has been fun. Thanks again for coming on. And until next time, boys.
Appreciate you.
Peace.